Welcome back, everybody. It's time for our match of the day. Rogue versus BDS about to begin. When does Spoit play? Well, in a few minutes. Don't you worry about it. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Alex the Medic, your host for the show. And with me, well, it's Fresh. And Des, what are you wearing?
Can I have Fabian back, please?
Emmy happened, I'm afraid.
Yes.
She just goes, you know the Roller Champions helmet? Do you want to wear it? And I was like...
You didn't even respond. She was back with it.
We had to extend it to
We're
fit
all
on
just
your
living in
head.
Emmy's world right now. Let's
Welcome in EU League. That's the one. That's all we...
I can make a gag about it, though, and I'll make it in a bit. We'll hold on to that.
All right, we'll hold on to it, much like your hat. Let's go for BDS versus Rogue because, well, BDS have been having some issues over the past few days, especially in a couple competitive days. There's some things that need to be fixed fast.
They do. And I summarised it in our last game when me and Tim were casting earlier. I feel they're struggling to find their place in the meta right now, to be honest with you, Fresh. I feel when the world is evolving around attack and repick and realising you've got to be disruptive, get out in the map, get aggressive, you're just not really seeing that same spark from them that other teams are bringing to the table. Teams like Rogue, like Wolves, like Heroic in that last game as well was a wonderful example. Shaiko really is the only defining factor they have. If he goes down in a round, you're then asking, okay, now where does the round win come from in the rest of this team? And it's a real shame because BDS have been such a good team domestically over the last couple of years. We've always said, you know, always the stage, but never the spotlight about them at big events as well. That just keeps on carrying through, and we really want to see them do well, but I feel they need to add that extra little bit of spark about their gameplay.
Yeah, and I think they're feeling what you've just described is what I think BDS are feeling. And I've got a clip that kind of will show that because I come to the understanding that Alems is the IGL of this team, right? I think we've spoke to him a few times about it before, but when we roll the clips, what we're going to see is Alems nowhere near his team in terms of attack. Absolutely nowhere near his team on Villa. There's 3 different rounds on Villa. This first one is successful where he's just lurking up the stairs as Buck. And the problem with having your IGL so far detached from your team is you cannot control them and you have no idea what they're doing. You're relying on comms. You can see the outlines there of his team completely on the other side of the map. As I say, this one does work out for him and he takes a lot of risks on this lurk, gets traded out the same way he does here. Now, for me, this is why we're seeing times where Shaiko is being aggressive, just walking himself into sight, but the rest of them are on the roof or in different rooms, and they're so out of sync is because your IGL is nowhere near your team. He doesn't realistically know what's happening, and he's trying to make solo plays, trying to make things happen for his team, but doing it in such a solo manner, and in this game against Na'Vi, he was punished for it.
Would you agree on this if you wish? Yes.
Yeah, of
one
course.
Thing I remember Alem saying in an interview was they were changing around where he was playing in the team. But I think back to Clubhouse is a great example. He used to play things like Sledge and would be the ones opening up the flooring inside of the kitchen hallway. Then moved across to being the blue player on the Zofia and being so far removed from the rest of the team that it was like, okay, now what's going on? And it feels like no matter what orientation they find from at this point, it's just not working out the way they need.
Well. Then what about Rogue on the other side? Because if I'm not mistaken, we saw Spoit is sick today. So how does that factor into it? This is the #1 player on the team, Jack.
Look, it hit them last stage as well, didn't it? That poor performance where you saw them 2-3 losses at the end of last stage was when Crime was also down and out. But hopefully it's a buff. It can be a buff or a nerf. Obviously, we don't know.
It is a nerf. From my own experience, I can tell you it is a nerf.
But when I had it, it was a nerf as well. The reality of it is you know, we live in a world of the times where people are going to be sick and it's unfortunately going to affect them. And you just got to make do. What I will say for Rogue is that despite their loss last week against Wolves, I am still encouraged because when they lost to Eminem, they were so out of sync. They were doing things sporadically, one by one. Even when they lost last week against Wolves, and I know I went through that double jump out where Wolves punished it, it was still together and it was still sticking to their identity. Now, Rogue and their identity will win them games. I expect it to win them a game today if they stick to it. So it was still encouraging despite the loss. I can't take you seriously, Des. I never take you seriously, but I can't now.
Jack specifically wanted to veto people on the desk, but I will leave that for another moment. Let's talk about the maps for a moment, Derry. Let's bring them up on the screen. 8 are out, 1 is left, and which one will it be against Best of 1 series? Okay. Bank, BDS starting off on the defense. They'll have the last say. Rogue on attack.
Concern.
There you go.
This is why I got this helmet on. This is potentially a car crash for BDS. I'm not feeling good about this because Rogue have played this map a ton. I remember them playing against G2, and they were just leagues ahead of G2 in terms of pace, in terms of aggression. That was both last stage and this stage. I think they've looked like the better team in both instances. And I think with BDS being as slow as they are now on a map this big as well, Rogue are just going to pick them apart at every single entry point.
Yeah, I mean, BDS had the option between border and bank. Now, BDS's #1 map preference is border. So it's a curious decision that BDS have gone to bank here, knowing just Rogue are probably the best EU team on bank right now, by far and away. So, especially because Rogue had side advantage, they've chosen to go to attack. I am worried for BDS right now.
Do you need a helmet as well?
Yes.
You need a helmet as well?
No.
You want mine?
No.
You sure?
No, it's all yours.
Okay.
All I will need at the end of this is a clown nose, which you happen to have. There you go.
I'll sort that out for you.
So definitely. Thank you very much, though, friends. It's time to toss it to our casters. Got Happenem. Take you through it. Enjoy.
You know, I actually tried to get him on the roller skates as well, but...
Yeah. Well, you weren't allowed because you would have...
I wasn't allowed because I would have broken my bones, and production was like, you know what, it's maybe not the best idea. But you know what? We have a good game coming up. It's going to be Rogue versus BDS, match of the day. An important matchup for Rogue to stay within that 12, 13-point reach to make sure they don't get behind for BDS to really be in a fighting chance to go to Berlin.
Ooh, we're getting to the wire, Hap. You see this? You see this?
I see it, yeah.
This is the wire.
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry.
We're like here.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Get into it.
We're getting close.
We're getting close.
We're definitely getting close.
And this could be one of those games because you got to look at the results that we have had so far. Eminem versus Na'Vi split the difference of the 4th and the 5th line. Outsiders versus Heroic put a little bit more distance between the top dogs and the bottom, and this could be just one more of those stories. We started the day 2nd place on 10 points, 7th place on 7, a difference of 3. That has gotten wider and wider. Outsiders have not moved from that 7 points. BDS, if they don't move from this 8, suddenly it's more than just 1 point that they're lacking there. That is becoming a bigger and bigger divide. Ahead of them, Eminem and Wolves, 2 teams ahead of them.
I don't want to say I was ranting about it on the desk.
Are you ranting? Are you
over
raving?
the past week, you know, when we had a bit of a limited staff. But I said, well, like, why? If Shaiko is the big carrying force behind BDS currently, and he is getting multi-kill after multi-kill onto the Finca, why not remove it? It's exactly what Rogue have done. They went for the ban for it.
They often do.
Yeah, of course they often do, but it's like double the impact now.
It has double the impact. I think the thing is, people have target banned Shaco before, even when it's not just...
Yeah.
I think, remember the days of, like, Shaco and Hibana, Shaco Yana...
Yeah, if it wasn't the Finca, it was the Yana coming out.
It was sort of... He's very mobile on who he likes to pick up and play, and he's very talented with a lot of different guns. It's more Rogue. They like removing what she can offer. It's the team-based heal. It's the 2 grenades, the gun 6, it's the pace. It's everything that you're all aware of because you watch Comp Siege and you probably play Siege and you probably try and exploit the Finca the same way that I do in ranked.
I try, but I realize I'm not as good as
my
fellow Platinum members.
Well, I had the most dreadful start to the season that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Ended up gold 3.
It's not the best, but
it's not the best.
It's recoverable, is what I said when you reached it.
I was plat 1 in the last season, and then I went down to a gold 3. And then I started playing with my friends, which I'm having a lot of fun with down in gold and silver, because I'm just cleaning up. I went 16-4 in a game last night, my last game. So, and that was entirely exploiting Finca.
I sometimes pick her up for a quick rush, but that's about it. I'm more of a support player myself. But either way, it seems like we have a glass entry here.
I know, right round the corner, just misses out. Kanto obviously had no real impact on the previous Playday and almost had the first here. Deepak stacked up. They are in
he's stuck.
A dead watch. Where are you going to go, Goyo? There's no real way, but through a firefight, able to slip their way around. Deepak's going to keep pushing and look for the end of the engagement. Does some damage to Renshiro. Yeah, it sounds like a suppressor on the end of that. Renshiro's going to just get himself a little bit of an opening with the power of anime on his side and the elevate gun skin, but it's the C4 and Shiro finds the fight over on the opposite side. The glass is trying to do some damage. They've got half the breach open. They're going to be missing out on the other. They've lost the thermite, and here Rogue wanted to hit the party fast, but BDS just noticed them trying to slip in the back door.
Kind of missed out on the most important part, though, the one that allows them to dig deep inside of this site and go for a cheeky plant. Now, it's Kanto and Deepak down there. Just lost one member, Leon Gids. We still have two up above because they were holding that hatch. They're afraid of a potential push of a member of BDS to come in and start heading down the blue stairs. Of course, there is that reinforcement on the hatch, so there's no real pressure instantly coming down, but nothing else has been prepped, really. And if you then look over to the left-hand side of Rogue, there is no hard breach gadgets, there's no secondary hard breach gadgets left, and that means that every hatch that has been closed will stay closed, and they'll have to force themselves in through the doorways.
Well, the Candelas don't quite catch anybody. They're more Candelas right now, and well, there's Renshiro getting some revenge. The laser beam vector is able to strike right through the heart of Deepak here. A grenade round on the split. As the Glass tries to find it, they do. Renshiro is finally put down, but he's lasted a lot longer than he probably should have. Spoit finds a second. Over the top, they've got themselves into a 3 versus 3. The smokes are going to try and drop themselves, and you're still looking at a C4 in the pockets of two of the players, waiting for this to come around. The Pulse can read that intel to them, but they're not going to take the bait. Wanted to try and shoot it out, see if they catch the players loose, but no catch. The Echo drone as well is just going to drift and drive himself in. There's the plant. Is the cover going to come through? They pull back off. The C4 goes, gets shot out by a Glass. Hell of a shot. The take over onto the opposite side. Alems finds the fight itself. Crying has to try and make some moves right now. 20 seconds, and you can still see there's the ping and the pulse. The pressure might come down onto Gold. He's not entirely sure. All the focus is on that split. The pulse, did he get the read? He didn't get the full intel. There's Spoit getting one more. It's just Rafal, the backline player. He's trying to find the Nomad as the first fight. Can't quite get the rotate. Just sees the catch. The swing and the fight over the top. It's Crying. And Rogue almost led in from the opening 30 seconds, but it takes the final 5 to lock it out.
That was a bit too close for comfort for Rogue there. I mean, for a long while, okay, first of all, they shouldn't have won that. They lost the Thermite early on, weren't able to get the close breach. They lost too many members just taking these gunfights. Deepak as well, just from a small swing. Kento managed to reply and then found one more. But it's basically a 2-on-4 that we were in at that moment in time. No hatches opened up. Everything was horizontal. There was utility. There was C4s available. Those were being tossed in but shut out before they could actually detonate. And somehow Rogue able to hang on in a round that, in my opinion, should have gone to BDS after the Thermite died and after they managed to get Deepak as well.
Now, one of the last times that we saw Rogue on bank was on, I think, the second Playday against G2, and it was a 7-1 victory. It was full power presence.
Yeah. And you know, back then they took that revenge from when they played against G2 the first time around, and were playing on bank. Actually lost a major spot because of that, due to losing a player in the middle of the round, unfortunately, in a very important one. So they've always been good on bank, but in that second stage, they really upped it up a little bit against G2, and now they're trying to do the exact same against BDS. And if they manage to pick up 3 points here, they're in a very good position for going to Berlin.
Well, I think the last time these two teams met as well, it was an 8-6 on Skyscraper. It went close to the wire. The one player that didn't quite have a huge impact, I believe, was Rips. I think he ended up on about -9 or a -10 for the game itself, swapping him out for Spoit, swapping out for this huge player who might be able to drive more of the power. I mean, we saw him bite back in with 2 kills and Crime putting pressure on the split side. They're starting this read once again. Looking for this player on the top of Banana. They have some pressure, some presence. There's a swing. Leon's trying to get some opening on Stock, but it's Crying, as I said, that finds Lems, and it was a point about him not quite having the ability to lead the team. There's no better seat in the house than being in everyone's camera.
Yeah, has four views now and a bunch of cameras he can use to guide everybody around, but Leon will find another one as he takes down the one onto the main stairs. Rafal from the Janitor with the shotgun though will find one, will find Spoit, tosses out the smoke canisters to stop any quick pace towards his position. But there's only 3 members left on BDS, only a single one above, and that is just going to be a clean wall bang. A drone that was on the other side of that wall gave that ping, and that's just a free kill for Rogue.
That was. You saw how well read that intel, and already 200% better than he was the previous Playday. Survives the C4. Kanto's looking for the angle onto Renshiro, who's actually trying to find it back, but Sledge still has a little bit of work he can do, and that's going to force Renshiro to pull slightly further and further away. The breach is coming around onto Janitors just above, and he's still fishing and looking to see if he can get the cheeky angle. They just see him slink out of there to try and lock down a little bit more control. Steadily, they're forcing the players back and back behind this, the bar line. On the far end of the structure, the SamCams might be able to try and get some of the intel if placed properly over the top here, but without the quad wall breached, they're going to have to go a little bit flatter and try and take some control of archives.
Yeah, so they could still try and open up that door, but it might be a little bit dangerous as they have to use that sledge, of course, and those feats can be watched. For those of you that are new and wondering why so much is being opened up above, it's basically to limit, as the quad wall gets opened up in the meantime, to limit the positions the defenders can be in. So you know they're in these default positions which you can just pre-fire, pre-aim, or get grenades to roll around the corner. Now there are none left on the side of Rogue as they lost Spoit early and Kanto used both. But they still know exactly where these players will be and they don't even need drones for it.
Well, the swing round and the trade out, they find each other's body. Playday is tucked in, but not for very long. Locked out of Kansan, and, well, Rogue lock in their second round. They were quick and pacey once again to get the first fight. All the attention paid by the drones towards the players, onto Banana, onto Alems, onto the pressure. They shut it down. And then they went back to their intel gathering game. I love the use of SamCams on Bank. I'm always going to be a big fan of what Zero can bring, and Deepek's bringing it.
Yeah, I think Zero's a really good operator on these big open maps with lots of open spaces and just bigger in general. I mean, Chalet's also a great map for Zero, for example, mainly due to that fireplace. There's so much you can cut off. You can hold those, like basically 2 staircases, the library, the bar, for example, that kind of stuff. If you do it in a lobby here, as you mentioned, you can hold off the Banana, you can hold off the lobby, the little side office, which sometimes defenders like to hide in, and you can also just get them around on the side themselves. Through the floors, even, because it does pierce destructible material, sometimes makes for some very funny hidden cameras.
Rogue, 2 swings, 2 hits in BDS. One of them definitely probably should have been yours, and well, I guess you'll see if you can try and rebuild that mantelpiece here. A slightly different approach. They've pulled that it's down in the basement. They don't think the SamCams are going to help them too much here, which is fair enough, to be honest. If one of the sides might be a bit of a lockdown, it's potentially this one. You can get your clears done over the top. The calls. Dockerby is a slight different pull, but I guess if you're thinking of what was a problem last time, the Echo was potentially that. If you can pop that at the same time as the execute down towards the site itself with the smokes that you've built, then maybe you can stop them being able to echo off the plant and try and sneak it in a slightly different manner.
I mean, it's a completely different lineup, right? We don't see the Glance, we don't see a Thermite currently coming out. There's no Nomad on the attacking team, or the Ying. So there's only one operator that stayed the same, and that's the Yana that is currently being played by Spoit here. So a completely different take could be on. It's potentially going to be revolving around opening up these hatches, which is something they weren't able and weren't planning on doing the last time around. As you said, they wanted to have that quick round to lead in with, have that classic that first kill, open up, smoke it down, make sure you lock off any angles that they could potentially go for. That didn't quite work out according to plan. BDS was ready to reply, so indeed, what they do now is the more methodical way. Just open up these hatches, limit the movement inside the site that these defenders can go through, and then execute altogether.
Steady clear is the MO right now. They've been able to get the security over the top 2 floors. As I said, it's something where you can sort of get yourself structured in and you pay your attention down. Think about old Clubhouse where you set yourself up with a couple of staircases. It does become not easy, but possible to cut off rotates. Only really the Oryx being the one that can try and break that pace. Here the break onto the main hatch itself. The Thatcher's going to let them put the pressure onto the one that they wanted to hold on to otherwise. They can get those X-Kairos popped. Get a little bit more control. Only one more hatch is ahead of them at this point, with Deepek putting a couple of pings. It's the Claw, the Kaid that might be able to actually catch them out here.
They're waiting for it. They're waiting for an EMP here, so they want to actually do this properly. So probably because they knew this is the last thing that needs to be opened up. There you have it. Gets denied and the hatch gets opened up. Well played by them there. They could have just shut it on as they thought there would have been nothing there. And almost Ilham's losing his life there as well, as a little bit of the side of the body shows there.
Oh, if anything, that show of the Thatcher and the play there is the difference that Fresh was pointing out on the desk. Rogue's coordination there. The calls and the expectation catches out BDS, but still, 30 seconds. There's only a portion of a round left to play, and they're going to see if they can try and put the pressure down onto Green at the bottom of White Stairs. A bit of a rotate. The kit looks like it's eyeing up the drop onto the hatch of Elevator itself. They're droning it out, getting some control, but it's Shaiko that opens up, finds Cryan, finds a swing, and finds control of Garage. Leon suffers a little bit with Rafal holding on, but it's Deepek and Alems that actually trade out on the big open hatch on the backside. Rafal tucks in around the corner. Leon looks for a fight, but pulls away at the worst possible time, shaken out. Kanto finds one more, but it's Rafal and Kanto once again. Rafal is the full stop at the end, and BDS finally find their first.
They find a first round here. They wanted to go desperately for that elevator drop there. A little bit of support from the main stairs, one from the vault hatch, but it seemed like they were ready. They didn't really have an opening, so there was not really a gap to go through. And as soon as you open up all these hatches and there's no sound coming in from the CCTV area, you're not going to be putting as much guns down there than you otherwise would. So 1 or 2 left behind. The rest was making sure that that drop through the elevator was not going to be successful for the side of Rogue. And they finally find their first round loss here. BDS able to punish them up onto that bottom floor. Something they should have done in the very first round, where they managed to take down Leon quite early on and stop them from fully opening up the breach that they wanted to. The Rogue still in that lead. And we're headed back towards the open area. The side that we have been before as well, and as we look towards the defenders, believe that they actually left one part of the quad wall soft. Now, I'm not sure if that is on purpose or if that will still be reinforced. I mean, it's a strange one to just leave there, so I assume it might be on purpose, just to have a little bit of an opportunity to challenge outwards, but that provides an opportunity as well. There is a buck on the board. It should just be quick work. And indeed, Playday will close it off. So it's just someone that did 3 and had to go because setup needed to be done elsewhere. It seemed like a weird one to leave open as well. So that's usually with a rotation between the open area and the little side offices.
Quick play once again of those cams to see if they can try and find the width, and well, there's 1 for 1, but if BDS can find a second here, I mean, it is on bank. You do suffer a little bit more on your defenses. 2 wouldn't be the most out there thing to lock in, and they still have plenty of opportunities. This is their best moment to strike as well. Off the back of some back and forth, some trades out, Rogue found themselves slowed a little bit, and BDS can build behind that. The Twitch drone is able to get a little bit of use and get itself locked in with some of the control here, as Shaiko might be the first to meet him. Playing on the pulse once again, seeing if he can try and lead in. There is some of the pings in the players, and it's a big danger if you're around that core, but it's Spoit that finds Renshiro, as that early opener there just puts that pressure down flat against them.
So weird to see Shaiko onto the poles, though. It's not. That could be a blow up. There it is. Deepek loses his life, but a C4 that Shaiko carries and gets back into that scanner instantly to potentially guide someone else to go for a shotgun shell, for example, if they feel lucky, because there's no more explosives left on the board. Grenade still being used, taking care of some utility, hoping to dispatch some of the players who have fallen back towards the side in the meantime, though, as it is a 4-4. They'd rather take that full-on fight towards the side in a 4-4 rather than being singled out on the top floor, not having an opportunity to rotate out.
Kanto grenaded an empty space, hoping to get a catch. At least they know nobody's there and they can try and push their way closer, but at this point BDS have pulled themselves back. They had suffered more before here, and with Alem still, I believe, down all the way in the basement, he has the chance to rotate up either of the 2 sets of stairs if he wants to, and with a minute on, the longer that time ticks, the more dangerous he can be. Rogue once again going for the same approach. On the same side here, the swing round onto stock and the door itself, and you can see BDS seem a little bit more aware of it now. They're trying to hold off with a little bit more of that arm's length. They've got the pulse, still reading information. They've got some control, and they've most importantly kept most of their bodies. Kanto almost suffers there. I believe that was the 2-story swing round. The grenade doesn't quite get the full catch. Lems is going to pull himself away. They know that they have the pressure now, and 30 seconds has put them in a tricky situation.
He downed himself with his grenade there and exploded a little bit too early. So Kanto's DBNO didn't have to do anything there, BDS. Just wait and let him toss that grenade. And 2 players are at least not within range. Leon Giz will pick him up eventually, but there's some valuable seconds that are lost within 20 seconds left to go for a final execute. So they need to find an opening onto the site here, as it looks like they might be wanting to plant deep on the actual kitchen area. Kanto takes some more damage, opens up, quickly has to rotate out as the flank comes in from the blue side of things. Will be picked up. It's a 3-on-1, the plant's going down. Is it going to be able to be cancelled? No, Kanto finds the cover, gets Playday before he gets into a position to stop the plant, and that is going to be another round for Rogue.
I mean, you got to give it there to Rogue. They really had barely any time to work with. A pretty even fight outside of picking up Kanto, who, okay, he got the kit down in the end, but it was after the danger of grenading himself and being downed, Rogue, apparently even with the barricades and the hurdles that they put in front of themselves, are still structurally able to execute onto BDS.
I was going to say, because something exploded and I saw Kento go down, I'm like, no one took a gunfight on him.
No. Alems did a lot of damage from all the way in the basement, up through the 2 hatches, caused some problems, then had the rotate at the end. So it's what we called it, and it was a problem that could have rewritten the round if there'd been a bit of confirmation, Kento.
He wanted to nade out Shaiko.
Yeah, he overcooked.
He wanted to nade out Shaiko, and he wanted to let it explode before it hit that little side of the cubicle there, so none of the explosive damage would be mitigated. As shown here by our observer as the Wamai goes on, that kind of soft wall there mitigates a small amount of the damage, so he just wanted to make sure it exploded high up enough to get that kill instantly. Either way, it was a bit too high as it exploded before he even reached Shaiko and got himself instead. So luckily for him, he didn't take himself out. That would have been unfortunate.
I mean, he's 7-3. He's really trying to make up. He's doing the, I guess we'll call it the Rise. I Rise went 0-12 and then smashed it the next week. Kanto's doing that right now.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's stepping up, and now on the Ashe, no grenades in hand, but 2 breaching charges. Ashe and Operator, we do not see that much anymore.
No, we, you know, she sort of had a space in the meta once upon a time, and now that there's just a little bit of the changes in terms of what other people can bring in their pockets, let alone the pace that can apply themselves, Finker and Iana do the job well enough, alongside obviously Zoph. But here, Kanto has opted for this. A little bit of the swing pressure on the windows potentially. Spoit and Leon putting pressure onto Stock on the opposite side. They know that Wamai is in a position here. They've got to try and dig out. They're hoping he goes for a swing, hoping he makes a little bit of a mistake. The ping onto the Azami. Round on the corner, but it's going to be the drone, the electricity. And now a little bit more intel gathering from the side of Rogue.
We could see Spoit just jump in here at some point. As soon as he realizes Shaiko is out here, he could just go for that fight. Maybe even tosses a grenade in first. Either way, he's holding the angle tightly now. The grenade is going to get pulled. That's going to be starting to fly in. Is there anything there to stop it? No. So that's the shield gone. He just jumps in right afterwards. Takes out Shaiko. Spoit is having none of it.
It's like people drone themselves in and Spoit grenades himself in, and he's able to find the kill on the back of it, tucked in on the side of Stock. He might get swung sooner rather than later, so he's cautious at the minute without the support. Well, it's a C4 that comes through. Kanto gets Renshiro. In the meantime, Alems has to rotate his way back round to offer and try and retake control of Stock here on the opposite side. They are still a body down, but Kanto's quite injured from the engagement. It's the retaking of the territory that's the most important part. Deepek trying to pop some pressure onto the player inside, and it's the swing that comes round on the back of the stun. Perfectly coordinated. There's another take. Leon able to get the quick swap round. They don't even have time to put the kit down.
The kit was secondary there. They wanted to go for the kills, and we'll find them eventually. Rogue. And what an entry that was. I mean, Shaiko, he played that well. He knew the grenade was going to be coming. He heard the pin to be pulled, so he fall back a little bit just to make sure he wouldn't be taken out together with his shield. But he did not expect Spoit to just jump in right afterwards. But, you know, as I was saying, I was actually expecting it. I was like, he's droning himself in. He's in this, like, aggressive angle. So it's like the only way is to either fall back the long way, where you can be shot the entire way through, or to just go through the window.
Just take the fight.
Or just take the fight.
He droned his grenade in for him to then go in.
Yeah.
It's a 3-step process. It's called the Spoit process.
And that's how you take care of Shaiko.
And that's how you take care of Shaiko. You can find this pamphlet that he provides. Just grenade yourself in. Cowards.
I mean, it works because he's like it.
But okay, we're talking a lot about him. It also works because of what Leon was doing with the pressure onto the other side of the wall. Because we saw Leon putting some pressure on the close swing onto Stock, so they can try and open up the pressure onto the wall itself, burn the ADS. And that's the thing about Rogue, is that coordination on their approaches throughout this game has been so razor sharp. It has made sure that executes like that, they don't just happen. You cannot just throw yourself into a fight and always get a win. You might, but it's not always.
Yeah.
The way we're seeing Rogue go for these approaches, the way they're waiting, the way they're baiting and playing against BDS's holds, chef's kiss.
I mean, we have to say it as well, right? Often we see the Zofia stun charges to be used to check if there is someone in a room or in a corner, actually used here to push.
When was the last time you saw a Zofia stun so someone else can get the kill?
Well, that's exactly what I mean. Like, it's often being used to check, oh, there is someone in this hallway. Oh, there is someone in this room. Now it was meant like, oh, we're going to stun him. You're going to push in and you're going to get that kill. The coordination there is what's keeping them up, and that allows these players to shine so much as they currently do. Now, Openings are being made here in Janitor. Hatch has been reinforced as we have returned back towards the basement here. And LMs is still playing around with this Electroclaw. They want to keep the vault hatch closed, which means that currently there's free reign to open up elsewhere. Rotation is being requested here by Leon. There you go. Oh, just to get an EP, just in case. That will, of course, get both of these hatches secured. Need to dust the second down there, but they did it anyway. And that means they might get in trouble, actually, if they want to open up the fourth hatch.
Oh, it's a long angle that they're holding on to and hoping they can try and get this. Remember the retreat from LMs that played on before? Well, he's doubled it down now with both the juggle attempted onto this hatch, hoping the first is going to get thatched.
We'll get it.
Gonna roll a second. There it is. Just caught in time. He's keeping that as strict and safe as possible. Now, Rogue, you've got to force yourself a little bit of adaptation here. You're able to get one of the other hatches for free, but that second one came at a bit of a cost. The swing round. Spoit just saw a bit of an elbow. Hope to see a little bit more in the swing, but nobody has come through as of yet. Just keeping it locked for now.
60 seconds, no real pace have been made. They've opened up 3 out of 4 of these hatches, but now they need to decide where they want to go for a drop. Retiros are coming down to blow up some of the utility, but also gain some information to find out where these players are. Smoke canisters are being tossed back in return to stop them from truly moving up. But as long as Shaiko is inside of this garage, most of these hatch drops are not going to be working out because they need to cross back at some point. And as Rafal finds Deepak, as soon as he tosses in that flashbang, suddenly they're a man up as well.
Yeah, Rafal got very aggressive there onto the hatch. Leon, he almost suffered the same fate at this point. BDS, they're leaning in. Spoit leans back, finds one. Looks for the second as the fight over the chassis. There's a close ping. Doesn't see the elbow, but the plant's going down on the other side. The 4 versus 2, but all the attention's paid to Spoit, and he suffers on one. He doesn't see the man. Rafal pops up. He gets the down onto crying. Leon's gonna stick it, but Ganto sticks it better.
This explains why when he saw him earlier, Rafal was not shooting, because he was on his drone. You know what? There was even pings down there. I'm not going to say it.
No, there were pings. I wasn't paying enough attention. If he was on his drone, fair enough. I was obviously watching a different active gunfight.
Yeah.
I think the Echo might have stopped one of those plants. Maybe, because Leon did come up at one point, and I don't know if it was because of the Echo or because of a fight. Would have to go back because there was so much going on. But the fact that he then ran up and took position on the player, which fair enough, because I assume they thought the last was garage, the last had retreated. I mean, because that's what Spoit was doing. Spoit was getting himself propped up, so if someone came garage or green, he could take their head off.
Yeah,
but the Echo,
stop any rotation back.
The Echo is on the floor.
Yeah, and there was pings. There was also some fire on the floor, so I assume he might have thought that if he would be on the floor there, he would be burning. Not the case. Echo was pretty much fine.
I wonder if that'll make one of the highlight reels.
Maybe one of the blooper reels.
Maybe a blooper reel? A Spoit blooper reel?
Either way, it was a good round for Rogue. Still, they managed to open up. A little bit of a mistake with the EMP use there. Of course, he used 2 of the EMPs onto a hatch that had no Cade under it, and then they came an EMP short for the last hatch they wanted to open up. But that actually forced them to go for a bit of a different take that worked out. So maybe it's a mistake that helped them win the round to some extent. Might be stretching here, but either way. 5-1. Rogue. Last time they played Bank, they played against G2. 7-1 victory back then. Seems like they want to repeat that feat here against BDS. And let me just quickly check out on what side they started back then. Because we might be seeing a complete repeat. Oh, they started actually on the defense back then. 5 rounds of the defense against G2 is what they want.
Yeah, and I think that was to... I know it's been a while since I was last making this point on round 2. But this is the second part of that point. Was if we see them do well on their attack, one of our last metrics for this team is doing very well on defense.
And that makes it a little bit scarier.
Because it's not a good map for defense.
No, it definitely not so much. But at the same time, G2's not in, and was not in the best form. They're starting to get out of it a little bit. I mean, Team Nade, double kills coming through, for example. Allowing the jump outs to come through when you're there with 3 people is just some of the stuff that happened that shouldn't happen. And I hope that BDS is ready for it, because these do look like some prep windows.
Well, this Super Charm is supposed to give you +5. Unfortunately not in the hands of Leo there. Lems catches him out and takes him off the board. The Oryx is gone, and the Osa in the role of Shaiko. Again, not the most common sort of position and play that we see him taking up. He's got himself a little bit of a bastion, and he's making a small corner box as you've got your side, I've got mine. And gives himself a little bit more security on the swing. Deepak, he's hoping to catch somebody loose on the drop down. They are droning it out, putting the pressure around. The pings are coming through, and we can hear some of the discs being burnt out, but otherwise the wall should fall of stock, and BDS pick themselves up to rotate elsewhere.
No grenade, no LMGs, no clear entry fragging operator on the side of BDS here. A lot of utility that they want to go for. And one of those Roteros, fair enough, will find a shield, an important one as well, because it makes Spoit's position a bit less playable. Also, something about Spoit, what we do know is that he is often a little bit less impressive onto the defense as he is on his attack here. So that's an opportunity for him to change that now as we get onto that first round.
They don't know
They don't
that
know.
Spoit's where he is. Does he know? Well, he'll have the impression somebody's out the window, and oh, if he goes untested and unchecked here, he could get a massive strike. This drone has to get the reveal. There's a player. He wants the catch. He finds the side. Doesn't get the full lock. Oh, just give him a sliver. Is concerned somebody else is going to swing round. Hopes the support structure comes, because to be fair, as long as the player's down,
plants.
it's a detriment. But yes, as you said, the kit is going down. They have the cover on the windows. They don't quite have the body. They do. Deepak with his magical glasses is able to find it through the smoke. The cover comes through. It's crying over the top. Gets a Lems. A 3 versus 2. Shaiko did find a little bit of pressure and finds a little bit more. Spike's looked out on the far side, 30 seconds, and Rafal does some business. Deepak, a huge take, a 1 versus 1. He knows roughly where the kit was, might not know that it's been picked up, put back in the hands of Rafal, who's going for a rotate, holding off. Just going to plant behind the safety of the castle. A bit of a spray over the top, a bit of a bait of the intel, doesn't get it because of the clever positioning there, and well, now does he have the awareness on where the player is? Sees the feet, swings the pre-fire, runs out of bullets, down to the secondary SMG, has to conserve it. But Rafal claims that round for BDS.
Shameful there for Rogue. They had a really good start of this round, but unfortunately came back. It started off, of course, with that execute. Tons of smokes, tons of flashbangs being tossed in. But guess what? Deepak in the janitor there with the Warden can see right through that. So able to stop that plant from happening. But in the meantime, Shaiko finding some of these kills, bringing it back and allowing it to come a one-on-one situation. And maybe a bit too aggressive there on Deepak on his ammunition. Found a feet, just sprayed half his magazine in there, and after that next to the castle barricade, hoping it would be the peak that it would walk right into his bullets there. Not the case. But luckily for Rogue, it's only 5-2. There's still plenty of rounds for them to lock out. At least 1 round, and potentially even 2. So as they head towards the basement now, they're not going to go for the double back. They're starting to go for a bit of a different play. Hatch not reinforced. Okay, Deepak does that. Cryan has other setups to do, so makes sense. Pretty heavy emphasis here onto the... Come on, Spoit, that's not nice. Let's say a heavy emphasis here on the open area and kitchen site. Some of these castle barricades to be used. Now, one got pulled off by Spoit, so needs to be put back in place by Kanto, who seems to be here alone, holding it off. Might get some... help from his friends up above to drop down a hatch and janitor as soon as pressure arises. They might have reinforced it off, I'm not quite sure.
Okay, BDS. I mean, to be honest, you had a bit of a swing round onto the attempt on the plant. It is something that you do, but Rogue, as you said, they bit back and they almost clutch it out from that side. Spoit has an idea and an adventure, and he wants to see if he can make it happen in stock. Once again, it's down to whether he does get caught on the drone. There is pings on some players. Call on one more. Sprayed close, sprayed further away, Lems. First off the board, Habana's gone. The next fight is about to come screaming around the corner! And it's all Spoit! The boy wonder, even with his sickness, is laying his sickness down upon him. 2 top floor kills, a bottom floor site. The hard destruction is halved. And Shaiko off the board.
He called it a buff, to be fair, for now he seems to be doing... Oh, Richiro, if you look down, you could have gotten 2 kills for free that were about to drop together. Wasn't aware of that, and as a result, he's not going to be able to pick up those kills. Rafal with another Logi bomb to come through, just calling everybody cell phones. hoping to find anybody close, but no sound being given out means that everybody's down onto that ground floor, onto the basement, waiting for the push to come in from BDS, because Spoit, well, he found 2 kills. It's a 5-on-3 now. Rogue have that big advantage. They cannot throw this, so they want to fight this as a 5-on-3 horizontally.
Oranshiro, he's knocking on the door. Just misses the fake lady. Thankfully, doesn't give his full game away. Deepek, well, he was the man with the magical glasses, and now he's the man with the magical drones, waiting and watching to try and catch. This might actually destroy it if the exothermic pops off. It's very close to it. No, it's a little bit safer, tucked around on the side. There's the reveal, the cut, the swing, and there's a man trying to get a plant down. Doesn't quite have the angle, but the pings and all the smokes and everything's coming through. It doesn't affect Deepek, who can sit, watch, wait, and say, now they're planting it. Renshiro gets the cover, and there's a fight back over the top. The Echo drone is able to get one of the pings. They're going to swing a little bit wider now, and they've got him into a position where he gets the plant in the cover. A 3 versus 1, and I'm missing up my words as much as BDS are trying to make a mess of this. The drive all the way through. They took out 2 bodies in the meantime, but there's still the pressure. Rafal, he clutched the last one. Can't get this. Rogue sit on map point.
I like how Crying just walked by, saw the diffuser, and thought like, no, I don't think I will. And the Spoit comes in, he's like, do you see it? And he just shoots him instead.
What are you doing, Dad?
What are you doing, Crying?
Come on, old man.
Spoit is definitely stepping up on the defense here. I know I just said, like, normally in the defense, he's not doing too hot, but right now, BDS.
It's the thing about Bankers, it's really leaning well into what he likes to do, which is just cause problems.
I mean, he was being hot droned in, and Shaika wasn't able to win the gunfight there. That is something we do not see often. So yeah, massive props to Spoit, currently doing very well for his team. 12 kills. Next up is going to be Kanto on 10, and then Crying on 8. Took a little bit of damage because he ran through a wall, I think. Yeah, indeed he did. Through 2 even. Making these rotations for his team. Ensuring that they have full mobility. Opening up hatches as well so he can jump up and down as he pleases. He's not opening up the basement hatch though. Onto the vault. Now, as the quad wall gets reinforced, potentially Mew jammered up as well to stop some of these positions. Actually, it might just leave it all together and try and go for some impacts. But then again, this is a rush Emmy. There is no heart breach. There's a lion. There's a bunch of explosives. They're going to rush through and they're going to try and plant right behind the B-bomb chassis. I'm going to tell you now.
They are. They're going to see if they can get the soft breach on the inside where Alems was to get rid of the castle, potentially.
Go and copy.
Oh, they're going to go for a copy plant. Okay, fair enough.
He's ready with a hammer. He's just chilling there.
3. Leon, pre-fired.
Where's the C4?
Leon is in an angle here where he's ready to swing and pre-fire. He could be the problem maker. There is a little bit of prep, a little bit of awareness. They do, as I said, need to open that door, which can be done without having to enter too drastically. The drones are getting the full read. Alem suffers with a swing round. The fight that comes here, you can see Rogue is responding. That's the most important bit. They're a team that does like to move fast, so people moving fast against them might come through. Spoit, he's tucked in. He's waiting and hoping the swing, the first pulse, gets nobody. You can see BDS is still weighing up the right time to go, and there's the first gone. Shaiko finds Crying, finds the first blood. Rafal now, as I said, has this breach open. They have a bit of width, but that's Spoit fighting back, and Leon suffering potentially just a little bit over the swing. Rogue holding themselves steady. BDS, change of plan. They've pulled themselves wider. They're going up to the window, and well, Spoit fired a little bit early there, but you can see Shaiko, he's inside and holding and hoping he comes back.
I definitely feel like the idea here was to rush, but as the drones came in, they realized there was not enough information. So Renshiro will find Spoit. It is now a 3-on-5, so they're still trying to get some of the control here over the round, as they do have a 2-man advantage now on the side of BDS. So with 1 E, 1D still left in pocket, it's Kanto that finds one of the Gemini replicators. It's going to be pushed now, and the Lems will find him. So it's a 2-on-5. They still have that 1 E, 1D. They could still explode onto the side and try and find these last 2 members.
Well, that's not supposed to go there. It's supposed to go through the hole. Leon, he's holding the rotation on the backside. He hasn't really moved from where he started the round itself. Deepek, he finds the first, the swing round. They're looking for the second, but it's going to come from either side. Leon gets the big one, the cover over the top, just survives, but only just 40 seconds. And they still have to watch that swing round. The pulses, the flashes, the blinds come. He pre-fires the angle, hoping Deepek's going to lean in. Swings around, just misses the back of the player, holds it more and more aggressively. There's the take, there's the kit, there's Leon down. Deepek's all that's left. He can win this out. He's looking for the long engagement. Does a lot of damage to the Ash, hoping to see the next swing round. BDS just have to time this together. They just have to put the pressure. Renshiro finds it with the LMG, and for one more round they survive. But they gotta thread another 3 together.
Yeah, there's not much breathing room here for BDS. I started to worry a little bit for them as I was convinced it was going to be a rush, and they were all stacked up. I mean, the hammer was out, ready to swing.
It was going to be a rush.
And then they see on the drones, there's 4 people on site. I don't think we'll be able to survive this if we jump through these windows. So they had to shift. They had to change their plans. Luckily, it worked out for them this time around, but there's still 3 more rounds, as you just said. That means that Rogue still has a pretty good opportunity of locking it out here as they do head back towards that top floor, towards Executive. Let's see what they change in their setup. Again, the Warden that we see from Deepek will more than definitely be playing inside the Janitor. Very efficient place to be for that operator. You can stop any flashbangs that come in. You can stop any smoke executes they might want to go for. So you're not really too bothered if they be swinging through that window, if they think they've covered you off. So with that, it becomes a target that BDS needs to deal with. And a way to deal with it would be to go from below. Use grenades. However, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't seem like they want to bring any.
Shaiko back on the Ossa to potentially set up the same barricades they had before, and to be fair, the round was theirs only just, but it was only just not theirs, with the attempt on the plant almost coming together outside of Deepek, causing problems. The Warden was able to use his fancy specs to see through the smoke here, and if you remember, Leon was also the first off the board playing this, the very aggressive position onto these windows itself. Didn't quite have the success of the previous swing, and as Shaiko seems to want to get himself set up in the same place, he's going to try and put the pressure over on the other side. Rafal at this point, if we look towards his stats, he's having a pretty huge game, and no one else from BDS really is. It's a little bit underneath the wire, whereas just having a second player step up big on the side of Kanto and Spoit is something that is causing a lot of BDS problems. The Yost is able to slip on by. There's no catching them. Leon is going to make them think twice about those windows. They got to pay some keen attention, as Alems does.
Stuns are being tossed in, but one will be caught. The second one will bounce through, but not actually find anybody. So nothing really gained. Actually, no, they will find Leon, but no one is currently trying to engage on it. So more used as a utility sink. That's unfortunate that you just got shot, went for the repeat, got picked up.
Yeah, Rafal had that locked down. They knew that he was playing around on the top. You could see the yellow pings came through just before, and Leon, as he said, he went for the repeat. It's not an easy angle to go for. Just putting the Talon shield back up, getting themselves stacked up closer and closer. There it is, in a very good spot to cause problems for anyone on the side of the Janitors. They can now get themselves a lot more security if they went for the same sort of plant before, and it means Spoit can't do all of the crazy things he liked to do on the previous round. It's a little bit more catch in his favor. And there it is, the take over the top! The swing of the impact! Crying, offering support, and he might have said, I've got this one, old man, but this time he needs his dad help to get rid of the removal on the corner. 2 bodies stacked up on the windows. Renshiro finds Spoit, finds some revenge. Deepek almost gets it. Can't quite get the full lockdown. Crying with the rotate round on the opposite side. Is he going to try and get the catch on the windows? The hop comes through. Is he revealed? Is he droned? Yes. You saw them instantly drop down in the rappel.
There's one inside, though, I believe, near the actual site, so I'm not quite sure where Playday is, but I believe he might be in a position to go for a plant. He's right behind the desk. No, okay, he's on the other side of the wall. I thought he was right behind the desk. He's going to use one of those soft breaches to open up and allow himself a bit of an easier way in, as Deepek will take care of stock.
Yeah, he chose that second to rotate, and Kanto comes big on the far side. 2 players left, either window, 1 hops in. Alems and Rafal now as the final support structure in a 2 versus 3. Rogue are holding themselves at bay. They know they've got to try and stick the kit. A little bit of a dangerous dance there, but they're going for the plant at this moment in time. Are they aware? Rogue aren't responding. 8 seconds and a post plant. Is that a little bit of a throwaway? It's now a 2 versus 2 open gunfight. Rafal finds one more. He was the man of the moment last time we were here, and now Rogue, this could have been their moment to shut it out, but they found themselves a bit adrift. BDS find their second round in a row for the first time this game, and both of them, I think, have started to include Rafal as a major player.
Definitely so. They managed to get the plan down this time. No response from Rogue, as you said before. And that whilst the entirety of stock was clear, they could have just pushed up the square there potentially. So a tech timeout gets called. Actually wanted to highlight the impact play that Crine went for together with Spoy. They realized the shield was going to be an issue. They needed to deal with it. So the idea was Crine tosses the impact. It will destroy the shield, and that allows Spoy to, at that same timing, go for the gunfight against Shaiko. He won it out though before the shield actually exploded, but otherwise that shield would have been gone and a lot of damage done towards Shaiko before he could even respond to that impact coming through. 15 seconds. Rogue, they have 2 more opportunities to lock it off. Now, we said it before, that last round, that should have been theirs. That might have been given away to BDS, but BDS at the same time was there to respond. They were there to get that diffuser down, and they were there to have the cover when it mattered most. And that is what's important. It's that fortitude, being able to fight back when you're lagged down, or even 4, considering the amount of match points that Rogue had. And that's the experience that BDS has.
Rogue, and a history of screwing it up. It's an unfortunately long history. I'm not going to say it's an entire history, but it's longer than it could be, longer than it should be.
It's more than 1 page in the books.
It's enough that they haven't... It's enough that it's a thing.
Yeah.
And when it's a thing, it's a thing. And you don't want to make it a thing.
You wanna stop it being a thing.
Wolves were able to stop it being a thing. Look at
Exactly.
Wolves.
Rogue might still be able to do it. I mean, it's 6-4. There's still plenty of time. It's not,
There is.
It's not a 6-5 yet. It's not that dangerously close to be going OT.
But the perspective, if they do not win this...
That is getting very dire.
It's not dire, but it draws them level with both Eminem. If they get 2 points, they would be level with both Heroic and Eminem. And suddenly that fight, 2, 3, and 4, all of them are on 10 points.
Yes.
BDS are only 1 point, not 10 points, 12 points. BDS would be on 9 points at this point. BDS, if they get 2 from this, if they win it in OT, they find themselves level with Rogue.
Yeah, and that's more of the worry, because you said, like, if they get only 2 points, that's a big if. What if they only get 1? Now, they seem to be aware of Deepak's position, and they're looking to wait to go for a push in. Surely someone is watching that drone. Surely someone is going to be able to make the call out. But as the Lems is taking charge here with the Talon shield, they're waiting for that camera, hoping it doesn't activate, but it just activated. And that means they know they're coming, and that means they're ready for them as well.
Oh, the drop on the hatch. They're able to find the ping. There's the second. Playday down on the floor. Leon stops him, but at what cost? As the fight goes all the way across the site. Renshiro and Shaiko with 1 apiece. It's all down to Leon. Just missed out the change of the guns and forced out of the building. The kit's cold, so he buys himself at least a few seconds, but a very clever push there from BDS. They had all the drones and the intel to be able to act when they needed to. Leon took the head off the plant. Well, it won't even go down. BDS from 6... well...
That wasn't even a plan. It was just a guy hiding there behind bomb chassis. By the way, you know, I said it wasn't 6-5 yet.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it is now.
Now it is.
This match point, or for BDS, the opportunity to go to OT and pick up a point out of this one. Put themselves up onto 9, which is tied up with Nautilus Vincere. But also the opportunity to fight for 2. And that will put them a little bit closer to Rogue. That's not what what Rogue wants. And this is their opportunity to still lock themselves in for that second place today. Make sure that you start off the Super Week in second. You will be there in the middle and maybe see if you're there at the end of it. But that will force them to win this round. And they are doubling back, Amy. They are headed back towards the basement because surely they don't rush twice.
Surely?
Well, you never know. But, I mean, after you've just done a rush...
I mean,
we'll be more prepared for it.
It is maybe one of the best team executes we've seen from BDS the whole season. The whole split, even. Because that's the big problem, is they haven't quite been able to hit those marks to the same pace and clarity that they used to be able to. Whether it's a struggle with the meta, whether it's a struggle, we don't know. We're not in the comms, we're not in the strat books. That's only the stuff that the players know. All we can do is compare them to the level of control that we've seen them have before in different metas, different whatever. And it hasn't quite been there this split. That round, they had the pings, they had the intel, they had the drive, and they had the right moment. The second the click came, as you said, Alems was leading the push, seeing how deep they could got. He got, so then they went. And it wasn't just those two in Garage that went, it was everybody put that pressure on and took Rogue massively by surprise.
It's as soon as they were spotted, they knew, okay, we either need to go now or completely abort this plan. Because they know we're coming, they know we're rushes on board, so we either go or we need to go back towards what we did in that very first round, where they managed to get quite close to the rush, but then decided against it in the end.
Well, drones are spotting drones right now. They're just going to make sure that they can maybe swing around and put some pressure here onto anyone that pops their head, but it's going to be a Monty as the first up. The ping's around, just checking the safety of the back, but Monty can slink and slide his way through. Tries to take care of the Echo drone that's just going to tuck in round and actually use that as cover to go up the stairs. That's a well-rehearsed Echo player. The drone watches it go and pulls the ping, and Ranshiro takes the head off of Spoit, who was waiting for the fight, and suddenly Rafal is drifting his way into sight. There is those Goyos that they can pop. They're looking for the pressure as the grenade starts to bounce around. That'll take care of, I think, all of them, to just let them burn out and do the destruction onto the site itself. The attempt on the plant, Playday takes a little bit of damage in the fire, but otherwise they've done their job, and BDS fully stacked on that server stack.
And they really want to go for that one, so a bit of a flank is coming through. You see that one Yokai drone? Well, that one is in position to help Kento retake that top floor, head towards the blue stairs, and see if he can cause some damage. Now, the big worry here is for Rogue is that they reinforced off that hatch. And as they have reinforced off that hatch, they're unable to make use of it. But Shaiko is still above as well, just thrown next to the window on the back of it, as I think that's a window being opened up. They do know he's here now, though, as the plane goes down.
Playday's going for the plant itself. Rafal takes a lot of damage, but it's a post-plant. Kanto's looking for the fight. Shaiko finds Cryan on the top. Kanto finds Shaiko. They've gone for the retake. The smokes are blinding everybody, but it's a 2 versus 4. Deepek wants to see how close he can get. The Monty's causing problems. The swing around, the pressure. He's going for the fight. He finds one. Can't find the second. Buried on the back. We are going to OT.
And somehow, against all odds, it is BDS that will bring us back. Because back when we were round number 9, we were basically already waiting for it to end. We were waiting for Rogue to pick up the full 3 points, but that is not going to be the case now. It is both picking up 1 for now, and whoever wins most rounds out of these next 3 is going to be taking 2 points home. And with that said, Rogue, well, they had a good opportunity to lock themselves in to that second place, to get themselves, what is it? 4 points of difference towards place number 5. The best they can do now is a 3-point difference if they do manage to pick up the points. Now, if they do manage to find 2 more rounds.
I mean, you have to give credit here to BDS for refinding some of the momentum. The first half and a little bit of the second, they seemed a bit lost, a bit uncoordinated. Okay, we're on bank. You expect attackers to do better, but there was an obvious bit of control that was being exerted by Rogue, and BDS took their time out. They took their moment to have a conversation around the halfway mark. They started to find something. They've started to find a little bit of a thread, the importance of this game with only a handful of points left. Taking some rather than losing it all is so important, especially when the pack is starting to divide here around that 4th, 5th line. Rogue stay on defense. All the way back up to CEO, the site of 2 losses, with Lockers being their only success, but they've just lost that twice in a row, so why not try this, where it has been kind of close both times.
Yeah, for sure. I want to make sure that they started off strong here. Now, there was some slight mistakes being made in the last offensive round they had, and also some unfortunate series of events the first time you were there. And those, they need to be fixed. Need to prevent those from happening. Kanto being opened up, though. Alams is going to be making sure there's a long line of sight they can hold, which makes it a little bit more difficult for Spoit to play in the position he does for Cryan, who is currently stuck within the elevator. However, they do, of course... Oh, that's unfortunate. They destroyed, I believe, 1, maybe even 2 of the Electro Claws there, as they did toss out these Kiba barriers. Luckily, there is more Kiba barriers available for Cryan. Just, I don't think there's any other... And Spoit, okay, well, that's definitely a fix. Spoit just watching through the hole that gets created by the Hibana and taking Lems out. Oh, now looking to challenge the Skylight as well. I mean, Spoit's feeling it. That's for sure. They got some. Oh, that's the jumping from Shaiko. He gets that kill as well. It's the injure. The double kill from him as he drops him from above.
Oh, from the top rope, Shaiko, he was cold at the start, but he's hot as anything right now. Rafal, who's been hot the whole game, is able to find one more for his credit, and suddenly Rogue, once again, on the back foot from a fantastic lead-in to blinked and you missed it. BDS, they have so much time to work with. The pressure's going to come across the top. They're trying to go maybe with the idea of a bit of a retake there, but they don't quite get anything. Deepak on the side of Janitors. They want to swing round. Popped a bullet and gave an idea to the Oster that they need to watch it, who Renshiro's picked up, and that could be the big change. Shaiko on the Iana. We think about all the roles he's played throughout this, and, well, you put him on the Iana, he finds double kill. Cryin gets some revenge. The pull of the impact pushes Renshiro back. It wasn't a deployed shield. It will be a shoulder of damage, a spray through 48 seconds.
48 seconds, Deepak still in a good position here inside a Janitor. Needs to be careful, though, to not be pushed from Kanto. It's a very tight angle there. He's hoping for a head or anything to show so he can go for the shot. It's the player out there, but a breach is coming through, and that means, no, it's muted out. So Cryin will fight Renshiro, and with that, they might actually be able to bring this back. Rogue, that is.
Now, only 2 defensive rounds have been won this game, and there's a lot that both teams should have but didn't in the end. The dig through onto the site. They're going to try and get the support and see if they can get the kit down. Deepak's going to go a bit wider over the back line. Can he find the planter in time? There it is, just 8 seconds. They just have to pull back, but Deepak doesn't let go.
Finds both there. Most importantly, that diffuser, stopping that time to run against you. And after that, just locks it off as well. We have to say, though, like, for a second, it looked like BDS was just completely able to slaughter Rogue there, especially after Shaiko drops in, gets that double kill. I mean, what goes on is like, okay, this guy that just took you out from repelling, I can take him out, but it might cost something. It's like, do I jump? And then the answer is we, and he just goes for it, gets a double kill. It's not often I've seen a Skylight drop be that successful, let me tell you that.
Well, Lockers was BDS's only successful defense. It actually was the only successful defense from either team when we got into OT. However, they were tested on it one less time, and it was one that Rogue were able to take. Let's see if there's been a bit of a change of pace and play. It was a little bit of claw juggling. Here it is, the drop down.
Well, like, what goes into
this
the comms?
Snap to the second, it's just liquid, that is. That is just fluid.
That's insane. This one very important though. Like, I understand you're covering off for the actual side, as that's a direct threat as well. You're just a man short. You need that hallway to be held as well, as you need to watch over the shoulder of your actual planter. So it's unfortunate there. You can only cover one, and the gamble was the wrong one in the end.
We throw our minds back to attack a long time ago, and that's where Spoit got most of his game, as is the trend of a lot of this currently, as Spoit was able to lead in best when he was in a position where he could lead in and try and find some of that. Now is the perfect time to see if he can find it once again. Stretch his legs and try and apply the pressure here back onto the side of BDS. BDS themselves, some open hatch, some angles, some exploration, but the steady drone game of Rogue isn't going to reveal anyone on the top floor. For now, they've instead got themselves the same sort of lockdown they had before. Canisters, smokes, a pulse for the intel alongside the Echo to cause problems, and the Kaid claws both currently deployed.
Shaiko on that pulse is just feeding a lot of information out. He's not playing like a roamer, heavy fragger. Instead, they're playing a bit more centered around the site. He's waiting with the shotgun next to him. He's like, tell me when to strike. I'll swing. You give me the word, boss. It's I'll go for it. So drone is being tossed out. He's on his drone now. The information coming out. Drone gets taken out. So not even able to find out that the pulse is aware that he's coming around the corner. There it is, the swing, but Bride gets taken out. Shaiko will get the refrag.
Yeah, gets it. There was a third player as well, just in case for the trouble, but Bride gone. He hasn't had the biggest game, but the smoke canisters on a sort of stop on this plant can be quite a big thing. Okay, they have Goyos that might still be sitting. Okay, they have 3 C4s, and okay, they have an Echo drone. They have a lot going for them to stop it, but still, every little helps. Here, Rogue. They're going to see if they can try and put the pressure onto the hatch. There is the claw. There's the roll of the EMP. Perfectly timed. this time round. They should be able to get that popped open, and Alems is going to pull himself back round. They were able to swing a couple of cheeky kills last time. Is that just... Yes. They were able to swing on the hatches. You can see Alems is stacked up, ready to see if he can do that once again.
The elevator has been opened up as well, and it's basically been a game plan of Rogue. Drop these hatches and hope for the best. They haven't really been taking this horizontally, and this kind of puts them in a bit of a danger there, but a grenade pops off, and that will get Shaiko, and that means it's a 4-on-3 situation. A man advantage here for Rogue with 42 seconds left on the clock. It's plenty of time to play with. Just play patiently. Deepak comes in with the drone. We'll exactly know where Rafale is, as he's been spotted exiting this site. So Krine is holding a tight angle. He doesn't want to go for that swing because he's not a direct threat. That means he's offside. That means they can go for a plant here inside of the server stack.
Well, there's the tuck round behind the kit itself. Alems is able to get one. They still have some C4s. Will they have the plant? Rafale has a body. That's at least the cover gone, but post-plant situation and a quick back out the room and a restructure. Kanto's going to go up. Hold control of the hatch itself, and they're going to open themselves up an angle. The Echo drone comes through, gets a bit of a stun. Are they going to swing behind it? No, but there's a rotation that's coming through up top on the other side as well. Onto yellow. The burn of the fire is actually going to buy them a little bit. Kanto wins the vertical fight, the most important one. The swing comes round. They got to double down on the fight itself. They can't get the solidity. The blind's going to come through. Kanto from the top rope gets one more, leaves just Rafale. The man who clutched it before is in the hot fire. He tried to cast upon his opponents. He's got to wait. Swings for the first fight, but a triple from Kanto secures the double for Rogue. It should have been 3. They'll feel it. BDS get 1. They'll feel that too, because that means Berlin just drifts that little bit further away.
I think if you looked at Leon's reaction as soon as they won, that was indeed, this should have been 3. He put his hands in his hair. It's like a bit of relief because you still won the game, but at the same time, it's like, that should have been 3 points. That should have been 3 points. But good teamwork coming in the end there. That 2v3 post plan, they managed to win. The first one-on-one on the top one, absolutely crucial. After that, they could play on contact. Play with a peekaboo with that last player standing. You swing, then I swing, then I swing again, just to make sure that they don't know where to watch. And like that, Rogue able to pick up just 2 points. But to be honest, it should have been 3.
We'll take a quick break before we're back with the desk to break it down.